All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. I just want to say welcome, everybody. We've had this series of adult education webinars, just connecting to our partners and highlighting some of the resources that are out there for us to better serve our students. And today we're talking about apprenticeships, and our guests are from the Department of Workforce Services. Melisa Strock is it's a fancy title and I will probably get it wrong, but she's over all things apprenticeship. And Alexia Murphy is on her team as well. So they're here to highlight some of the options that are available for students and talk about how we as partners can help connect students to apprenticeships and even develop some additional pathways for those students. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys and let you do your thing.
Great. So I'm going to just introduce myself a little bit more quickly. So I am the Apprenticeship Program Specialist with the Department of Workforce Services, and currently I'm managing our apprenticeship grant, which is nearing its end, but through that process, I've started working much more closely with employers to help them develop programs and to coordinate with the Department of Labor, who ultimately registers these programs. I've been working with apprenticeships since 2014. So I'm starting finally to know what I'm talking about. It took a little while. Melisa, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Melisa Strock, and I'm the Commissioner of Apprenticeship Programs for the state of Utah and housed within the Department of Workforce Services. So I have I've been with the department for about 26 years now. And probably about 20 years of my career, I've worked on industry and education partnerships, and had kind of previously dabbled with apprenticeships a little bit. And so being appointed as the state's first commissioner in August of 2019 has been really exciting, just because it's allowing me to focus just on apprenticeships instead of broader industry and occupations. But we're here to kind of talk about a new website that we have for our state and talk about what apprenticeships are. I mean, they've been a buzzword for a long time that sometimes they can get confused with some of our other buzzwords like internships. And so we'll talk about the similarities, the differences, what the benefits are, how you guys can access information and resources, and then where to send your students for information on exploring apprenticeship opportunities. And I'm going to kind of let Lexi guide this, and then I'll just jump in where I need to.
Mute and unmute. I was getting a little confused with the meaning of those two words for a second. I'm back.
Well, I'm on a meeting. What do you need?
Like Melisa said, we do like to always start out when we're talking to people by offering the definition of apprenticeship, just so we make sure everybody's on the same page about what we're talking about. So apprenticeships combine two things. They combine paid on-the-job learning, and then there's a classroom component as well. And the idea is by combining those two things, that at the end, these apprentices will be fully trained, highly skilled journey workers. And they can be, productive to both the employer, but really have a good start for their career. And so Lisa talked about the buzzword and the other buzzword, which is internship. And we get called internship a lot, which is fine because internships are lovely, but they are different. Internships are generally short term, so they're usually just a few months long. If you're lucky, they're paid. If you were me, they weren't. But it's really intended to be something temporary. Where apprenticeships are, they're always going to be a minimum of 1 year, and you are a fully hired employee of the company that you're apprenticing with. So they're paying you a wage. You should have, if they offer benefits for the rest of their employees. As the apprentice, you would be offered benefits as well. The other thing that a lot of people don't know, so I say apprenticeship, and usually people go to construction. That's usually their first thought, or union. Sometimes we get union as well. But that's really changed, and especially so, I would say, over the last 5 years. So right now we have apprenticeable occupations probably in every industry. There's somewhere upward of 1,200 different occupations. Right now in Utah, we do have a couple of IT apprenticeship programs. We did just get a healthcare program approved, and we're working on growing that a little bit more. So there are a lot of different opportunities. If you've heard of apprenticeship in the past, and you're just not sure how, whether it would apply to the students you work with, you can think bigger than construction.
One of the things that I like to say, well, there's two things I like to say about internships and apprenticeships. One, I like to talk about internships being a try before you buy model. You kind of go work for a company that's temporary. It's really to see if you're a good fit for that company, if they're a good fit for you. You may or may not work directly in something that's related into your field of study for your internship. And so we look at that as a try before you buy model, but an apprenticeship is a train to retain. An employer is building some trust with that individual and also showing them how they are investing in them. And so that creates loyalty and retention. The other thing I like to talk about with this is an apprenticeship is the only way that I know that you can be working in your field of study. And it's a guaranteed way that you're going to have a job in your field of study. I know lots of individuals that went to school for something and never even worked in that field. Sometimes it's personal preference. Sometimes it just didn't work out. Other times you have that conundrum of experience versus the degree. And, you apply for a job and they say you need a degree or they say you need experience. And so oftentimes you may have one and not the other. And an apprenticeship is something that can help you where you are both obtaining the post-secondary education and the employment that's directly related to that.
Great, thanks, Melisa. I always like your little, your try before you buy. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna remember that one day. I did want to share with you guys some of the benefits for apprentices. First of all, as Melisa was talking about, you're working in your field of study. So you do have a paid wage as part of an apprenticeship program. And then the other thing that's coming up a lot more lately is that you can actually get your education piece with little or no debt. So what we see with apprenticeships are employers paying for it or setting up a reimbursement program. Some of the programs have reduced cost tuition at Salt Lake Community College. If you're attending an apprenticeship program, it's half price tuition. So, and you're getting credit too. You can get college credit for a lot of programs. So that way, either your employer's footing the bill or it's a lower cost to you, which is something that people are starting to find more and more valuable. Probably more now because we got to pay for gas and, then go to school. And then the other thing that's a benefit for a lot of individuals is that hands-on career training. We hear a lot of people say, you know what, I didn't understand math in high school, but doing my apprenticeship program, I'm taking math classes, but then I go to work the next day and I apply it. And suddenly I get what that means for a job. And so that is a definite advantage for a lot of individuals. And with that hands-on training comes a mentor. So that mentor is someone that's working closely with the apprentice and can help them, besides just the work piece, help them to navigate the company culture and make sure that they have somebody that they can go to talk through issues, in addition, of course, to a supervisor. And then the other nice thing is that mentor can see where you're struggling and where maybe to redirect some of the training so that that individual can progress and continue to move forward in their apprenticeship program. We do see increased earning potential for individuals that are apprentices. So they did a study and found that most apprentices earn $300,000 more over the course of their career lifetime than individuals in similar occupations that took a different route. Some of that is probably because that apprentice is also getting started earlier on, whereas, you know, if you take a traditional path, it might be quite a while before you actually enter the work world. And then finally, you end up with a credential, which is important, right? That's what industry recognizes. And so those programs are built to provide the credentials that the industry is looking for, in addition to a national certificate of completion from the Department of Labor. Lisa, do you have anything you want to add to that?
The other thing that I would add is the wage progression. You start out at one wage, but based on competencies and skills that you master, you're able to receive incremental wage increases. It's going to be different for every apprenticeship. Sometimes they do them by time. If at 6 months and a year, you've completed what you're supposed to, you get a raise. Sometimes they're quarterly, sometimes they're annually. But with that, we've seen a lot of really good examples of individuals of, starting at one wage and increasing by huge amounts. We have an example, one individual that started out in a carpentry apprenticeship at $16.50 an hour. He'll finish in April at $24 an hour, and it was a 2-year apprenticeship. I didn't get those kinds of raises in 2 years early on in my career, or even now. But it's really a good opportunity for those individuals to quickly get into a self-sustaining or family-sustaining wage.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, Melisa, just recently, I was looking at individuals who had completed their apprenticeship programs that were working with the Department of Workforce Services. And we did have a younger adult who started out an HVAC apprenticeship and was making, I don't remember the exact number, somewhere in the mid-teens, $14, $15 an hour. The apprenticeship program was 3 years long, and they were making $20 an hour more at the end of their program, which I was very happy for them, but I was a little bit jealous as well, because I thought, ooh, extra $20 an hour in 3 years, that sounds fantastic. So there are, as Melisa said, there are great opportunities to help have, a wage you can actually live off of. We do want to share with you, just for an ongoing resource that you'll have available to you, our new website. If you look at Melisa, you can see that web address above her head. But it's apprenticeship.utah.gov. And we just wanted to make sure that you are aware of some of the resources that are available and kind of know what's there. Thank you, Danielle. She put the link in the chat as well. So I just recently, as of maybe like 10 minutes ago, learned how to share a screen on Zoom. So we'll give it a go. You might need some patience though. Screen 2. Do you see it?
Looks good.
Man, I'm amazing. No, just kidding. Okay, well, I think you can see that this website has, we have the homepage that has some cool statistics on it. We always have an apprentice spotlight and a program spotlight on our homepage, and those change from time to time, so they're kind of fun to peek at. But then the rest of it is broken down into 3 sections. We have a section for employers, we have a section for future apprentices, and probably of most interest to this group is going to be the section for educators. So in just navigating over to this, it gives some background information on what apprenticeships are and why that should be considered as an option. There is this need direction or advice button that will link you to our apprenticeship email address. so that you can reach out and then we can respond and answer to any questions or connect with you. And then there talks about the roles that educators can play in apprenticeship programs. And then there's more resources at the bottom. It's got stuff on pre-apprenticeship, which I'm sure Melisa would love to talk about a little bit. There's some skills assessments, so it does connect to youth science. There's links to finding opportunities and then some success stories. So Melisa, what do you think is most relevant on this for our guests?
On this page, I think it's really good to understand why we would consider an apprenticeship for an individual. If you scroll down to the resources, there's lots of resources in there. What I tried to do is just have this be kind of a one-stop shop and provide links to organizations that you guys are already familiar with, but how they connect to apprenticeships and what opportunities are there and where there might be funding or resources or guidance on developing programs. A lot of times that will be used with school districts and those that work with employers. But I think this is helpful to understand that these organizations that you are familiar with also support apprenticeship programs. And then we're looking to develop more pre-apprenticeships, like Alexia talked about. Pre-apprenticeships are really a set of strategies or coursework that will help someone be prepared to be successful in a full apprenticeship program. So it might be, some math remediation, some soft skills, but also some basic technical skills for the field that they're going into. What we're really trying to do is work with our partners that have full apprenticeship programs to build a pipeline earlier on to access non-traditional workforces that they may have not have tapped into previously. But what we really like to see is that partnership, so that anything that they learn that's part of the technical skill, we try to align that to the full apprenticeship program so that they can get the credit for what they're learning in the classroom on the technical side, so that it's not anything that they need to repeat. This is something that's newer, so there's not a lot of them out there yet, but it is something that we're working on.
Thanks, Melisa. And it's something that's coming up, it seems like more and more as we're talking with employers, because of course they have a worker shortage as well, and they're very interested in developing that pipeline into their programs. There is a section to find opportunities if you navigate over there, over to that section. And so it talks about, there's the career pathway section, and then there's also this related training provider list. So when you link to that apprenticeship eligible training provider list is what the link is for. That is a sample of programs that we have available in the state. I say a sample because we have 260 registered programs in Utah, and we have about 100, a little over 100 on there. So, but these are programs that are registered with the Department of Labor and that have elected to get on this list. So, and the neat thing about that list is if that particular program is recruiting for apprentice, if they use our system to post that recruitment, it will tie back onto that list. So then you can see not only who's got programs, but who's openly recruiting right now.
Hey, if I can jump in, yeah. All of our adult education programs are currently listed on the ATPL, just in case any of our users don't know that. So.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good point. And Lexi, would you mind clicking on that just so that they can see the registered apprenticeship page? I always like to show, how there's a tie to the job when there's a job opening too.
Did it pull up?
It did. So here you can see that you can search by an occupation. You can search by a sponsor. If you click on the down arrows, it will show you or even by a school that you might be interested in attending. But as Lexi scrolls down, you can see there's different sponsors and employers and different types of occupations. I was hoping we would find one real quick that had a current job opening.
Oh, we can go to Walgreens. Oh, to Walgreens. Where's Walgreens? Oh, well, this is one. The Utah Labor's statewide JATC. So they're looking to onboard construction craft labor apprentices. So what happens is when you click on that that link, the individual will need to sign into their job seeker account, but then it will pull up that opportunity so they can find out how to apply, which is really nice because depending on the program, a lot of the employers just handle it, you know, like they're recruiting for employees, but there are some larger programs that have certain times of year that they apply and you have to provide different things. So that is really handy when they have those posted on our site.
I will caution though that just because there isn't a link does not mean they don't have a current opening. The key to that is they need to select a box saying that it is an apprenticeship or mention that it's an apprenticeship as part of their job description when they put it in, but sometimes they don't. And so, excuse me, it's not to say that there's not a position open.
And the other cool thing, just to build on that while Melisa's hydrating, they do have the phone numbers for the contacts for each of those programs. So if somebody's really interested in something, they can just call and find out if they're recruiting, and if not, what the process looks like. Anything else you want to add, Melisa?
No, that was perfect. Thank you.
I will go back to the main web page. And then we have this Explore Occupations. So it has industries listed. So say if we go to automotive, so there's information about that industry, and it talks about, you know, is that right for the apprentice or your student? Again, it will link to openings. So that would be the same, those same programs that are flagged as Melisa was talking about, or they suggest this is an apprenticeship. It's a list of all of those jobs. There's some information on pathways there, the apprenticeship duration. So I told you initially that an apprenticeship is always going to be at least a one-year program. So depending on the specific occupation, it would be between 1 and 4 years. It talks about the skills needed, the wage information, and then on about half of these, we have day in the life videos. We are working, when I say we, I just mean Melisa, is working to get videos in place for the other occupations as well. And I don't know, Melisa, should I be brave and try to show this, or?
Yeah, let's see if we can. Sometimes it's helpful if we go over to the actual YouTube channel, maybe click on watch on YouTube and then share your share the volume or something, I think is what it will say. Share the sound.
Okay. So it didn't ask me about sharing sound. Can you guys hear it?
Maybe unshare your screen and then reshare, but actually, oh yeah, it is in YouTube now. So maybe unshare your screen and then reshare it with the YouTube.
Okay. It's still not asking me about that.
Let's see. Danielle, have you done a video before? If we send you the link, would you be able to pull that up for us?
I can try. If you hit play on it, we're not getting any audio through.
I haven't. I don't hear anything. Yeah.
Okay.
You can send it to me and I can.
Okay, I just sent it.
We'll troubleshoot.
This is why I say I need an IT apprenticeship so that I can learn how to become technically savvy.
I figure it out in one, in Google Meet or something, and then, you go to the next one and you're like, oh, I haven't done that before.
Yeah, all these different platforms.
Lisa, while we're waiting on that, is there anything else you'd like me to be sure to highlight on here?
No, I think when you're looking at that Explore Opportunities page, I think it's good for students to, if they're connected to Youth Science, we know some of them are through the school districts, they can use that to explore occupations in general more. Or if they, there's also a career, I think it's careeronestop.org for those that are not connected to Youth Science to do some exploration. But it's just kind of nice to know, what's out there. And so we've really done these videos to help people see themselves there.
All right, let's see if this will play through.
My name is Francisco Sandoval, and I'm doing the apprentice position here at Cascade Collision in Lehigh, Utah. The reason why I pursued the apprenticeship here at Cascade is I just love being around cars.
My name is Natalie Snow. I'm the Controller and Human Resources Manager for Cascade Collision Repair. We feel like by having the apprenticeship program, we're able to get people who don't have any experience in the auto industry but would like to, and we're able to provide them with the tools and the knowledge that they need to be able to further their career.
I would recommend the apprenticeship to a family or friend. As an apprentice, you're getting paid, so you're getting almost reimbursed for your time being here. If there's no job here, you can definitely find another job elsewhere doing what you learned here. I mean, it's going to stick with you for the rest of your life.
I would recommend the apprenticeship program for other businesses because it's allowed us to fast track people who have no knowledge in the industry and turning them into people who have extreme knowledge in the industry and the knowledge that they need to be able to actually build a career. And then obviously that helps our business grow because we're able to train and retain employees in our industry rather than having them come in as a temporary job and then leaving.
It's such a good blessing for me and my family, doing what you like and getting paid for it immensely. Like what else could you want?
These videos were a lot of fun to do because we really got to see people's experience and their excitement and why they would recommend doing an apprenticeship to other individuals. And so you'll see us develop some more of these and get them posted within the next few months. And then we'll continue to share. Feel free to share those with people as well. We just think it's important for people to see that there's different options. And then also maybe they can relate to someone in one of those fields and want to do one themselves.
Great, thanks, Melisa. So I feel like we just gave you like the fire hose version of apprenticeship. And so we'd like to open it up just for some Q&A and see what follow-up questions you might have or what you would like to know more about. And just feel free to unmute and jump in. You probably weren't that good.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a student that's from Chile that was trained as an electrician there, but obviously when he comes here, then his schooling there isn't recognized. Would he be eligible to be able to do an apprenticeship here?
Yeah, and sometimes what they can do is they can have him test into the program. And so maybe based on, you know, what he's done before, he can test a little bit further into, so instead of being a first year apprentice, maybe he could be a second year apprentice. So that would be
Okay.
a good option.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
So really for anyone, they just need to be eligible to work in the United States, and they can be connected to a program. And we have others too that Granite School District does a lot of these with high school students, and they in the electrician program, they have a partnership with Salt Lake Community College where they're learning the first year of the classwork at the GTI, so that when they graduate and can go into the actual apprenticeship program after they're 18, they actually get credit for prior learning and start as a second year apprentice. And so we see some things like that for high school students. We hope to see some more things like that for adult ed students in the future. But then, as Lexi mentioned, in some of these, you can also test out of some of the competencies, showing that you already have some of them. And so they won't completely do away with all of it and say, oh, great, now you're, you know, an electrician here for that example. But it just shows that there are different opportunities where we can help connect with that so that they can show their competencies.
So just a quick follow-up question with that Granite School District. So do you know does Granite School District partner with the community college, where the community college brings the professors in to teach that particular class and then eventually push them into the community college, or is that just something that Granite District offers?
No, there is it is aligned, and there's an articulation with Salt Lake Community College. And I'm not sure if it is Salt Lake Community College teachers or if the GTI teachers have been approved by the community college, but somewhere in there, they're either the teacher or they've been approved and meet the guidelines to teach. And so that one is formal.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Yeah, are there eligibility requirements that the students need to meet, particularly on the academic side? And how would we know? Does that vary depending on the career that they're pursuing? Because that's where we come in, is how do we support those students in building the skills they need to move on?
Right, I know it's a little bit, so the hard part with apprenticeship is just because it is so big and there are so many different occupations, is it does generally vary from employer to employer. The basic qualifications are that they have to be at least 16 years of age to participate. So there's not a lot of formal guidelines, but then you go to each program and they do have some general requirements. What do you think, Melisa? What would be the best way to do that?
I think it really, honestly, it's going to be talking to each individual program because they are going to vary. There are some key things that I think are probably common in some of the electrician programs or the construction programs in general. You'll see some math requirements. Mostly I've seen at least a 10th grade level math. Because you do have a lot of mathematical equations as a part of construction. There are a couple of programs that may do some pre-assessments just to kind of see where they're at and see, sometimes it's an entry into their program, but there are very few that do that. I wouldn't say that that's the majority. For the majority, I haven't seen major requirements except for an assessment for the IT one. And IT, that's more about, people hear IT and they think, oh, I can work from home and I'm going to make a lot of money. And sometimes it's really not for them. I know for me, I joke around all the time saying, hey, I would love to do IT. I can work from home and I can make a lot of money, but I'm such a social butterfly that I really could not do that job. It really would not be a good fit for me. And so their assessment will assess some of those things, but also assess, are they going to be good for software development or web development or more desktop support? It just helps them identify what track within IT they might be well suited for. So those are probably the two that stand out to me that have some sort of assessment. Can you think of others, Lexi?
No, I do see some with electricians and plumbers. They're the licensed trades in Utah, and both of those generally do have some testing requirements. But also the nice thing with them is generally also, if you test and you don't do well, they'll tell you like, hey, work on your math skills. You need to, you need to do this particular level of math. And then the person at least has a direction to go back and say, okay, I know what I need to work on now and move forward.
And then they can reapply too. Just because they didn't do well the first time doesn't mean that they're counted out.
Awesome. And then for our programs, if they wanted to identify which employers in their area offered apprenticeships, what would be their best route? Would it be to search on the website through those apprenticeships, or reach out to their local DWS office and make those connections? What's kind of the next step forward if programs just want to get started?
I would say all of the above, whatever they're most comfortable with. If they've got a partnership with DWS and they want to connect with someone locally, sometimes not everyone in all of our employment centers know about apprenticeships. So if you click on the need advice or want more information button on the website that Lexi talked about, that will take you directly to our email address, but we can also put our email address and mine and Lexi's phone numbers in the chat so that you guys will have that. We're willing to chat through anything with any of you and even look for opportunities, or if sometimes if we don't have one, we'll look to see if someone has a partner within the department that we might be able to help develop one. And so we're not afraid to do that either. I think Lexi and I can be really good resources, but I think when you're exploring, that ETPL list is a good place to explore. If you're on our actual website, there's at the top, it says partners. And when you click on partners, it will take you to everyone that's part of the Apprenticeship Utah network. And it will even link you to their websites and their career pages that provide information about apprenticeships. And then there's also the national site. We don't often send you to the national site because sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming. But if you wanted to just do a search for Utah or a particular zip code, that's one avenue that you have to do that as well. But Lexi and I can help you. That is one of the enhancements that is on our list for this next year for our website, to kind of have a state of Utah where we can hover over any given area and you can see all the pins or apprenticeship programs in that area. One of the things that I think we can be proud of is that we have at least one apprenticeship program in all 29 counties in the state. And we work to develop more in the rural areas as well.
Great. And I did put the apprenticeship email in the chat and mine and Melissa's phone numbers as well. What other questions do you have? Okay. Lisa, do you have anything you want to kind of wrap with?
I I would probably just make sure everyone knows that we're always looking for new opportunities to partner. So anytime you have questions, if you have an idea, if there's something that you want to talk through to see if it's something we can do, we are more than willing to chat with any of you and determine what's the best way to connect either a specific individual or to work with a particular group or classroom that you're trying to work with, or even, you know, a group of employers. We really want to see a true progression into apprenticeships where we have a lot of career exploration from, you know, 8th grade on and doing some job shadows and some internships and some pre-apprenticeships and then go into a full apprenticeship. And the same can be said with individuals in adult ed as well, you know, giving them opportunities to where they can learn more about any given occupation, but then also have those strategies or pre-coursework, if you will, to help them be successful, or any wraparound supports too. Anytime we can help someone with transportation or childcare, or, you know, making other connections that they might need that's going to help them be successful in a program, then that's something that we want to do and that we're here to help with. And so hopefully we'll be chatting more. I know we're working with Stephanie Panton on a couple of projects with some individual school district adult ed programs and a refugee pilot program. So hopefully you'll see more of us, and we'll hear more from you as well. Thank you so much for having us here today, and reach out anytime.
Yeah, thank you both so much. We appreciate having you, and I hope that's been helpful for our people. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off the recording, but we'll stay on for just a minute if anybody has any last questions.